You are.
Okay.
See you next month.
Yeah, just one second. You need these back.
What I think is Exhibit A, long form EAF Part 1. Exhibit
So
B,
is 474.
Exhibit B is the
Little
Part 2.
colorful, beautiful.
And then Exhibit C will be your resolution. You have a copy of that.
Sure. Do you want?
But we haven't started to decide if we're going to order air cemetery or
Okay, I will talk to her, because I see people calling me, so. Yeah, I know, but I think he should.
Yes.
And I know you'll make that.
Kyla, do you want me to do the subdivision?
Mid-century. It looked like a drive-in hot
All
dog.
the involved and interested agents? You're gonna send it to all the interested agency too, or just the involved?
Usually we do both. I mean, usually we do it. I don't know, I can run that by Sue tomorrow. But, I mean, it's fine for us to do.
That's fine.
But I'm just going to this a bit too. For 25 years. So just anything from me on that, I'm going to
Then one other issue, well, we have right here, is that meeting on the 20th. I just want to make sure we're good. You guys can have a resolution.
Sure, you want one signed?
Yeah.
I think we could probably sign.
Brad, I was just asking the board, are we, for the 20th, your board meet, your laws and rules meets at 6?
next.
7. Yeah. But
thinking about maybe just a pilot. But I'm going to search something. I haven't put together the agenda yet.
all right, so you let us.
Oh, yeah. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't say we.
Why do
we
you
don't need to
ask Wayne to speak?
laws and rules, right?
By the planning board? No.
Yeah, I don't. I don't think she's.
This one's a double-sided copy, you don't want to.
No.
Okay, I don't have another legal copy. I mean, I can scan ours and email it to you tomorrow.
I can make you put out if you give me a double sided.
I should have I thought I made an extra copy because I took you like copies.
Yeah, always agree.
It's you.
Correct. You didn't vote, right?
This is. Yeah, this is Jamie. Scott, this is taking more time. So we're going to take this from you are? Oh, great. What's the Dr. Sawyer now? Jamie, that's the goes there so they can make it. They come flying in the first.
Okay.
Thank George, right? Thank you very much.
Okay, wait.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
One more time.
All right.
Yeah, he was what they requested after we
Okay. Item number 12 is 105 Mary's Avenue. The applicant has asked to table this.
I want to speak on that too.
What's that?
I want to make a comment on Mary's Avenue
Okay.
coming up.
Come on up.
Okay. I'm representing Topscale, plus it's in the 9th ward where I'm the alderman, and they had some concerns about the expansion of the Benedictine Hospital. First of all, they're concerned about the fairway and the greens. If you start to disrupt or change any kind of drainage, they're concerned about their fairways. And also, if you defoliate anywhere near there, there's also a possibility of drainage. And that was their biggest concern, because without the fairways, they don't have a golf club. And they would just like to know how it's going to impact them.
Do they have a letter or anything like that to you?
Oh, I remember.
No, okay.
Yeah, so they were talking to me, so
Okay. I just want to make sure I know all the concerns there.
yeah.
Okay.
But the biggest thing is affecting their, because some of their holes come up close to the borderline.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you, Alderman.
All right, the applicant for number 12 has asked to be tabled. So at this time, I'll make a motion that we table item number 12. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jonathan Ford. All in favor? Opposed? Are you abstaining? Okay. You okay? You're in, Jay. All right. Okay. All opposed? Carried.
Wait, maybe, listen, I'm staying for that.
Okay, moving on to item number 13 is 90 and 92-94 Prince Street. It's a site plan to establish a shooting range in an existing commercial building. Section block and lot is 56.26-9-2.1-37. Secret determination zone C3 Ward 5. Game Development LLC is the applicant owner. Scott.
Scott Dutton, representing Dr. Sawyer. I think in this application, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Sawyer, provided the city with a tremendous amount of information since we submitted the initial documentation. I did have one question before I hand it over to Dr. Sawyer, and that is, I did not see in the staff notes anything about setting a public hearing. Is it Sue's intention to have a public hearing or not?
She didn't really give me guidance on that. We haven't heard, in the beginning, when it kind of first came out, we had some concerns from some immediate neighbors about environmental concerns, lead and things. So that's up to the board whether you think that the public hearing should be set or...
We addressed those concerns, I think, in the EAF, and then hand it over to Dr. Sawyer, but I would request that if the public hearing is desired, that we set that night if possible, so that we can keep some momentum on the project.
Okay.
So I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Sawyer to walk you through the project overview and address some of the concerns that staff asked us to look into.
Thanks for having me. So basically, the idea would be to establish an indoor shooting range, 15 yards, which would extend out the back of the building of Prince Street. The shooting range is about 17.5 feet wide, 45 feet long. In the space, in addition to the shooting range, would be a retail space for sale of ammunition and firearms, also related accessories, and there would be a classroom for training. The idea for the concept of this, first of all, there really are no indoor shooting ranges in Ulster. There's none in Ulster County for people who own pistol permits. And from a ballistic perspective, the range could accommodate both pistol and rifle. Most likely would be at the distance only for pistol. The range itself is going to be in compliance with state and federal guidelines. The biggest issues with having a range would, one, be safety, would be sound abatement, and then lead abatement. From a safety perspective, the range would have a range safety officer, which is someone who is certified, who stands on the firing line watching anybody who's discharging a firearm, and and would take appropriate steps if there's any issues at all from that perspective. All participants in the range will be using eye and hearing protection. From a sound abatement perspective, the design of the range hasn't really been established yet. We're still in the design phase, but the range itself would have adequate sound abatement that would eliminate any significant noise to the exterior. As far as lead is concerned, the HVA system is a HEPA filtration system, which I think we provided some information on that. The system itself is somewhere in the range of 1 million BTUs, would have a negative pressure effect inside the facility, would discharge cleaner air than the air that's coming in based on the statistics that I've been given. I've enlisted consultants from Colorado. Shooting Indoors is a range consulting group, which I've been talking to now for the last several months. Carries HVAC is a company out of Illinois that does the HVA system. And the sound abatement, there are a couple of vendors. We haven't really decided on it yet. I'm still working with Shooting Indoors as far as that's concerned.
How many people will it accommodate?
So the demographic information I got from Shooting Indoors, it's a 5-lane range. They expect initially that I have somewhere just over 200 people a week attending the range. 40% of those would be on the weekends. They expected that I need to be open between 7 and 8 hours per day on the weekend to accommodate five people shooting during that period of time.
And then, so if it's a Saturday, there could be people out front waiting to get in, or how long does somebody take? I know nothing about this, so please.
The shooting would be based on an hour range time.
Mm-hmm.
So someone may get done early, someone would be able to come in. I was going to start to investigate using technology to facilitate people coming in and out of the range with efficiency. We're maybe having real-time lane availability options for people via their smartphones or via their computers or tablets, so that there wouldn't be a tremendous amount of people waiting outside. I do own the parking lot next door. I was going to consider renovating the front of the building to have maybe like a seating area or something like that, so that people won't be falling out onto the street. The space with the range recessed into the building and then extending out is going to actually create a significant amount of room inside the building for retail and for waiting as well. What I was also contemplating with the design would be have a bulletproof window, basically, where people could actually watch the other shooters while they're waiting. In addition to that, there would be classroom availability. So in the event that there's no classes being held for training, people that are waiting could actually wait in the classroom during that time.
And I should add that Dr. Sawyer met with the chief of police, correct?
Correct. I've met with people from the police department, and I met with Cleo, which is the Ulster Sheriff, as well.
And they're in general support, if I understand?
Yes, yeah. Actually, they were kind of excited that they would be getting a local range. From a law enforcement perspective, it's probably not going to be optimum for them, but if in fact they were able to utilize the range, it would be obviously for short distances. Police have other standards that they have to meet, so this wouldn't qualify them for anything, but certainly for interval training would be adequate.
Is it clear that in the code that there's no discharge, but that's allowed inside the building?
Sue spoke with Corporation Counsel and the police department about that, because it talks about no discharge of firearms, but because they feel that that's, it's for outdoors hunting, and obviously,
So for shooting
it's illegal
sports,
to shoot it, discharge outside, but they feel okay with this.
And we submitted a 50, 60-page document on how the acoustics can be managed inside the building. The small addition out the back of what was the medical practice would be a concrete block addition.
It's just vague. It doesn't mention anywhere else in the code that there's an allowance for shooting sports, gallery, or anything like that. So it just basically says flat out no discharge unless law enforcement.
Do we have a role for court counsel?
Yeah, she did speak with Corporation Counsel. So are you putting, is there an addition planned for the back of this building?
You can see that on sheet LO1 and AO1.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Now, do you like rent the guns, or you have to come in with your own? I don't know how that works. Or
Well,
both?
I'm just going to give you just a very quick overview of
Okay.
what's happening now. Obviously, a very, very controversial hot topic with guns and safety. The SAFE Act has changed the way people kind of approach firearms and using their firearms. Right now, in Ulster County, you have over 200 applicants a month. More than half of them are women for pistol permits. The sheriff's department told me that they added 6 judges to keep up with the volume of pistol permits. And they're really, unless you actually have property, someplace where you can actually shoot, or you're a member of a club, of which there are few and far between, you have to, in order to be a member of one of those clubs, somebody has to either drop their membership, and there's huge waiting lists. I'm in a sportsman club, and I got in by kind of serendipitously, but there's a huge waiting list. So unless you have access to something like that, or a guest of somebody, you really have no place to train with a firearm that you may be certified to carry or own. So for this would enable you to obtain at least your training for your firearms license. Then after that, have live fire training, which doesn't exist right now. So I have a pistol permit, but at the time when I got my pistol permit, it's still not required. Some judges will say that I would prefer you to go out and get some additional training, but you don't have to do that to actually own a pistol. So you could actually own a pistol but never really discharge it. It's not really safe. So the idea would be, in order to be in keeping with the SAFE Act, which as it sounds, would mean that we're actually safe with our firearms. There would be training, live fire training by certified pistol instructors, so that you'd be able to train with your firearm and be safe with it. So to answer your question, what additionally I'd like to do, since this would be a retail store, I met with the ATF. I'm actually getting a federal firearms license to run this facility. There would be firearms there. So if someone has a pistol permit, doesn't know what type of firearm is the right type of firearm for them, they would be able to come to the store, rent one of the guns that would be similar to something they might be purchasing in a caliber that would work for them. They'd be able to test fire to make sure it's the gun that's proper for them, and then potentially buy it, or maybe go to Gander Mountain and buy it. But at least they'd have the opportunity to test fire a weapon that they wouldn't otherwise. If you purchase a gun now, you cannot return it. Once the firearm's discharged, it becomes a used firearm, and then it has to be transferred by a federal firearms licensee.
So you'll hold the FFL, not the, so you'll be able to do transfers and other procedures there. And parking for users, members?
It's a significant parking lot directly adjacent to the building that was used by the medical practice. And then there are 1 or 2 municipal lots. Two, right? The one between Monkey Joe's, and then the one
On the other side of their lot.
right to Grand Street.
So in terms of going to and from, what you'll have is, New York is a concealed carry state, correct? And so nobody can open carry, so you'll either have a case or something, container, or on your person, but it'll have to be
Right, so this, you have, right now you have a restricted and unrestricted license for a pistol. So the people that have a restricted permit are allowed to take a firearm in a lock case to and from a range, or keep it in their home, and then allowed to carry it. But then there are people that have unrestricted licenses that are allowed to carry them concealed, correct? So this would only be for people that actually have a license to. So in New York State, you're not allowed to touch a handgun unless you have a license.
So somebody who doesn't have a license like myself, I couldn't go and learn how to.
You would be able to take a class in a separate part of the building where the classroom is not on the range where you would be able to, learn how to possibly fill out an application for a permit, all the steps that are involved, and then after that, there is a 4-hour safety course that everyone has to take in order to apply for a permit.
And then I'd have to go to the judge to get the permit, come back and then fire in the range.
Correct. And in the evolution of the SAFE Act, which will most likely have a couple of more generations before it's done, likely there will be right now there is a recertification, which there wasn't before at 5 years, and likely there is going to be some requirement, I would expect, in the future, and that's just my presumption, that you'll have to demonstrate that you are at least proficient with your firearm to a certified instructor, just to continue with the whole concept of being safe.
Similar to continuing education requirements, professionals?
Right.
So when you hear people that, friends, oh, call me the fire range, why don't you come try it out? Technically, if you don't have the permit, you're not supposed to be doing that.
Correct.
I know you said you'll have like someone certified at the shooting, but how about like manning the front, or what certification would they have to say, to know the rules, or that I couldn't walk in with you and just shoot,
So a requirement of the LLC, of the corporation, which is going to be a safe shoot, would be that all the employees are certified instructors.
Oh.
So there are resources available that I'll be able to bring in instructors that will train all the employees. The people that I have right now that I'm kind of identified as being the main people that are going to be employed by the facility have an incredible wealth of knowledge and are already experts. So anybody in addition to them would have to be certified.
And although there was no indoor shooting range back in the day, in 1992, there was a tactical handgun training in this building. I believe THT was in this building. I don't know if you knew that or not. No.
They still exist.
Yeah. I had a shooting range in the basement of my high school in Manhattan. So that was in the 70s.
Yeah.
There should be one at the Kingston Armory, because we're doing work at the Newburgh Armory, and that's the identical building.
No, yeah.
They've been shut down.
What's that?
They were shut down.
As an operating facility, but the physical plant is still there. It's pretty interesting.
That's true.
Underground, under the drill hole.
All right, so
Scott's original question was about, we want to schedule a public hearing for this. We need more information on this as it stands right now to come back for next month's meeting.
I think a lot of the questions were answered, they were answered after the submission date. We wanted to start the process, and have it be open, transparent, and address the
feedback would be,
right.
this sort of thing.
We know that we knew absolutely that there would be questions, so we've been feeding the responses to those questions to staff as it came in.
Public hearing?
A lot of neighbors you have the information to make a decision.
It doesn't require a public hearing. I mean, it's up to you guys.
I thought I'd see more people here tonight.
So did I.
There's like nobody here, there's no questions.
And we've addressed the environmental concerns, I'm absolutely convinced. I mean, there may be an educational component. We weren't seeking any kind of approval tonight. All of the information that we've submitted is public at this point. Nobody's contacted our office, I don't think, other than the one or two individuals that came to see you.
I'll be honest with you, I wasn't in favor tonight, but I didn't know anything about it.
Right.
Having here how highly regulated it is, a lot of my concerns have been answered just by the regulations that are in effect.
I have an idea, and you answering these questions have,
And I
shed
do
a lot
too.
of light
And
on
I think
it.
a lot of the people who have been coming to us would benefit by the education. If you have the time to do that, it would be great.
Well, we would certainly be coming back next month, and the question is
Put that in
whether
place.
we need a formal public hearing.
And really, all that means is that we would publish it like we do every other public hearing. So it's not, you know, it might be a good idea just to have it out. I mean, it was already in the paper, but it would be, Deb Brown has a statement.
I have no statement, just a question. After hours, what kind of security do you have after hours?
So the security, the ATF requires a certain minimal standard for firearms, because I'm actually responsible for those, my name, myself. So any issue that arises, I would be responsible. So to answer your question, there would be basically reinforcements on windows. Everything would be kept in Liberty-type safes. There are other furnishings that I've been looking at, made by vendors that actually do this all over the country, where there are locking cases. There would be a monitored alarm system. There would be cameras with night vision outside and inside. Basically, as much technology as I can use, because again, it's my responsibility.
That was some of the questions that were asked. People are concerned of break-ins, and there's an arsenal there.
Right.
And being in the Midtown section, easy access, get out. So that was one of the questions that was asked by me.
The agreement has already run a story, but there'll be another
So I
story.
know that's what we're having a little discussions about right here.
If you did a public hearing, would anyone, do you think anyone from the sheriff's department would be willing to come to speak to the extent of, you know, the permit process and?
I believe so. I wouldn't want to speak for Mr. McGovern, but after speaking to him Friday, I would expect that he wouldn't have any problem with it.
I mean, maybe not get up and...
No, just
maybe
to
just have
explain
it
the
available.
process that people actually go through and the, you know, the references and things like that.
I mean, I can reach out to him if that's appropriate to do, and speak to him that way. If that.
We certainly don't want to get into a debate.
No, this isn't a forum for...
That's my concern.
For gun control. This is not the place for it.
It's a planning question that I think we can address properly and transparently.
And Alderman?
I just had a question. Is this range or designed strictly for adult use, or are there going to be groups like the Boy Scouts that are going to have access?
So, as I was saying before, the ballistics for the range would accommodate rifle. Any range made now in 2015, the ballistic rating is going to be able to accommodate up to a high-powered rifle if need be. This range being so short would really be feasible for anybody to shoot a rifle. However, you could shoot 22, which is something that sportsmen do with their sons. That might be an option. I think the distance would probably be too short, but it would be an option to shoot 22 rifle there, and those would be special events, and that is possible. But I haven't really got into that part of the model for the businesses yet.
Those being considered.
It's an option. Again, I'd have to look at the liability issue with that, because that would be the biggest thing. They are those type of events. I have one at my club that's being held out in Marbletown, I think in 2 weeks, and I think it's mostly adolescents that are coming to that. Actually, from all over the state, so there's probably going to be about 75 people there.
Kyle and I were just talking about a public hearing. We always have a 15-minute portion prior to the meeting, so that people can